vibinna nasavrashir yasya matam nabinnam dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahajano yena gata sapanta. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, dry arguments are inconclusive. A great personality whose opinion does not differ from others is not considered a great sage. Simply by studying the Vedas, which are variegated, one cannot come to the right path by which religious principles are understood. The solid truth of religious principles is hidden in the heart of an unadulterated, self-realized person. Consequently, as the Shastras confirm, one should accept whatever progressive path the Mahajanas advocate. This is a verse spoken by Yudhishthira Maharaj in Mahabharata Vanaparva. After this discussion, the Brahmana served lunch to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then all the people residing in Mathura came to see the Lord. People came by the hundreds of thousands, and no one could account them. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came out of the house to give audience to the people. When the people assembled, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu raised his arms and said very loudly, Haribo! The people responded to the Lord and became ecstatic. As if mad, they began to dance and to vibrate the transcendental sound of Hari! Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bathed in the 24 ghats along the banks of the Jamuna, and the Brahmana showed him all the places of pilgrimage. Purport: the 24 ghats, bathing places along the Jamuna are 1. Avimukta 2, Aniruddha 3, Guya Tirtha 4, Prayag Tirtha 5, Kanakala Tirtha 6, Tinduka 7, Surya Tirtha 8, Vata Swami 9, Dhruva Ghat 10, Rishi Tirtha 11, Moksha Tirtha 12, Bodha Tirtha 13, Gokarna 14, Krishna Ganga 15, Vaikuntha 16, Asikund 17, Chatu Samudrika Kupa 18, Akrura Tirtha 19, Jagnika Viprastan 20, Kubja Kupa 21, Rangasthala 22, Manchasthala 23, Malayudastan, and 24, Dashashvamedha. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited all the holy places on the banks of the Jamuna, including Swayambhu, Vishramagat, Dirgha Vishnu, Bhuteshwara, Mahavidya, and Gokarna. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to see the various forests of Vrindavan, he took the Brahmana with him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the different forests, including Madhuvan, Talavan, Kamudavan, and Bahulavan. Wherever he went, he took his bath with great ecstatic love. The word Van means forest. Vrindavan is the name given to the forest where Srimati Vrindadevi, Tulsi Devi, grows profusely. Actually, it is not a forest as we ordinarily consider a forest, because it is very thick with green vegetation. There are 12 such vanas in Vrindavan. Some are located on the western side of the Jamuna, and others are on the eastern side. The forests situated on the eastern side are Bhadravan, Bilvavan, Laulhavan, Bandiravan, and Mahavan. On the western side are Madhuvan, Talavan, Kamudavan, Bahulavan, Kamyavan, Kandiravan, and Vrindavan. These are all 12 forests of the Vrindavan area. These are the 12 forests of the Vrindavan area. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed through Vrindavan, herds of grazing cows saw him pass and immediately surrounding him began to move very loudly. Seeing the herds approach him, the Lord was stunned with ecstatic love. The cows then began to lick his body out of great affection. Becoming pacified, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to caress the cows, and the cows, being unable to give up his company, went with him. It was only with great difficulty that the cowherd men were able to keep the cows back. Then when the Lord chanted, all the deer heard his sweet voice and approached him. When the does and bucks came and saw the Lord's face, they began to lick his body. Not being at all afraid of him, they accompanied him along the path. Bumblebees and birds, like the parrot and cuckoo, all began to sing loudly on the fifth note, and the peacocks began to dance in front of the Lord. Upon seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the trees and creepers of Vrindavan became jubilant. Their twigs stood up and they began to shed tears of ecstasy in the form of honey. The tree branches and creepers, overloaded with fruits and flowers, fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord and greeted him with various presentations as if they were friends. Thus all the moving and non-moving living entities of Vrindavan became very jubilant to see the Lord. It was as if friends were made happy by seeing another friend. Seeing their affection, the Lord was moved by ecstatic love. He began to sport with them exactly as a friend sports with his friends. Thus he voluntarily came under the control of his friends. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to embrace each and every tree and creeper, and they began to offer their fruits and flowers as if in meditation. The Lord's body was restless, and tears, trembling, and jubilation were manifest. He said very loudly, "Chant Krishna, chant Krishna." All moving and non-moving creatures then began to vibrate the transcendental sound of Hare Krishna, as if they were echoing the deep sound of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord then clasped the necks of the deer and began to cry. There was jubilation manifest in the bodies of the deer, and tears were in their eyes. When a male and female parrot appeared on the branches of a tree, the Lord saw them and wanted to hear them speak. Both parrots flew onto the hand of the Lord and began to chant the transcendental qualities of Krishna. And the Lord listened to them. The male parrot sang, "The glorification of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is beneficial to everyone in the universe. His beauty is victorious over the gopis of Vrindavan, and it subdues their patience. His pastimes astound the goddess of fortune, and his bodily strength turns Govardhan hill into a small toy like a ball. His spotless qualities are unlimited, and his behavior satisfies everyone. Lord Krishna is attractive to everyone. Oh, may our Lord maintain the whole universe." This is from the Govinda Lilamrita. After hearing this description of Lord Krishna from the male parrot, the female parrot began to recite a description of Srimati Radharani. The female parrot said, "Srimati Radharani's affection, her exquisite beauty and good behavior, her artistic dancing and chanting, and her poetic compositions are also attractive, that they attract the mind of Krishna, who attracts the mind of everyone in the universe." Govinda Lilamrita. Thereafter the male parrot said, "Krishna is the enchanter of the mind of Cupid." He then began to recite another verse. The male parrot then said, "My dear Shari," female parrot, "Sri Krishna carries a flute and enchants the hearts of all women throughout the universe. He is specifically the enjoyer of the beautiful gopis, and he is the enchanter of Cupid also. Let him be glorified." Govinda Lilamrita. Then the female parrot began to speak jokingly to the male parrot, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was struck with wonderful ecstatic love to hear her speak. The female parrot said, "When Lord Sri Krishna is with Radharani, he is the enchanter of Cupid. Otherwise, when he is alone, he himself is enchanted by erotic feelings, even though he enchants the whole universe." Both parrots then flew onto the tree branch, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to watch the dancing of the peacocks with curiosity. When the Lord saw the bluish necks of the peacocks, his remembrance of Krishna immediately awakened, and he fell to the ground in ecstatic love. When the Brahmana saw that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was unconscious, he and Balabhadra Bhattacharya took care of him. They hastily sprinkled water over the Lord's body. Then they took up his outer cloth and began to fan him with it. They then began to chant the holy name of Krishna into the Lord's ear. When the Lord regained consciousness, he began rolling on the ground. When the Lord rolled on the ground, sharp thorns injured his body. Taking him on his lap, Balabhadra Bhattacharya pacified him. The mind of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wandered in ecstatic love of Krishna. He immediately stood up and said, "Chant, chant!" Then he himself began to dance. Being thus ordered by the Lord, both Balabhadra Bhattacharya and the Brahmana began to chant the holy name of Krishna. Then the Lord, dancing and dancing, proceeded along the path. The Brahmana was astounded to see the symptoms of ecstatic love exhibited by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He then became anxious to give the Lord protection. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mind was absorbed in ecstatic love at Jagannath Puri. But when he passed along the road on the way to Vrindavan, that love increased 100 times. The Lord's ecstatic love increased 1,000 times when he visited Mathura, but it increased 100,000 times when he wandered in the forests of Vrindavan. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was elsewhere, the very name of Vrindavan was sufficient to increase his ecstatic love. Now when he was actually traveling in the Vrindavan forest, his mind was absorbed in great ecstatic love day and night. He ate and bathed simply out of habit. Thus I have written a description of the ecstatic love Lord Chaitanya manifested in one of the places he visited while walking through the 12 forests of Vrindavan. To describe what he experienced everywhere would be impossible. Lord Ananta writes millions of books elaborately describing the transformations of ecstatic love experienced by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Vrindavan. Since Lord Ananta himself cannot describe even a fragment of these pastimes, I'm simply pointing out the direction. The whole world became merged in the inundation of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One can swim in that water to the extent that he has the strength. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 17th chapter, describing the Lord's traveling to Vrindavan. Balo, balo, bravo, bravissimo, jai, jai. Hari, Hari. Chapter 18. Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's visit to Vrindavan. The Prabhupada wrote these summaries. I confirmed it with Jai Vaita Maharaj a few days ago because somebody asked. He started as a later point. It's up to the 3rd canto of the Bhagavatam. There's no summaries. Yeah. But he did it himself. It's kind of amazing. It's hard to summarize. The following summary of the 18th chapter is given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya. In the village of Arit Gram, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu discovered the transcendental lakes known as Radhakund and Shamakund. He then saw the deity Haridev at Govardhan village. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had no desire to climb Govardhan hill because the hill is worshipped as Krishna. The Gopal deity could understand the mind of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and therefore on the plea of being attacked by Muslims, Gopal transferred himself to the village of Gantuli Gram. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to Gantuli Gram to see Lord Gopal. Some years later, Lord Gopal also went to Mathura. to the house of Vitaleshwara and stayed there for 1 month just to give an audience to Srila Rupa Goswami. After visiting Nandishwar, Pavana Sarovara, Sheshashai, Kaila Tirtha, Bandiravan, Bhadravan, Lolavan, and Mahavan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Gokula and then finally returned to Mathura. Seeing a great crowd at Mathura, he moved his residence near Akrura Ghat. And from there he went every day to Vrindavan to see Kaliya Radha, Dashashaditya Ghat, Keshi Ghat, Rasastali, Chir Ghat, and Amlital. At Kaliyat Lake, many people mistook a fisherman for Krishna. When some respectable people came to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they expressed their opinion that when one takes sannyas, he becomes Narayan. Their mistake was corrected by the Lord. In this way, their Krishna consciousness was awakened. And they could understand that a sannyasi is simply a living entity and not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his bath at Akrura Ghat, he submerged himself in the water for a long time. Balabhadra Bhattacharya decided to take Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Prayag after visiting the holy place known as Soro Kshetra. While stopping near a village on the way to Prayag, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fainted in ecstatic love. Some Patana soldiers who were passing through saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and falsely concluded that the Lord's associates, Balabhadra Bhattacharya and others, had killed the Lord with a poison named Datura and were taking his wealth. Not very good police work. Thus the soldiers arrested them. However, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu regained his senses, his associates were released. He talked with a person who was supposed to be a holy man in the party. From the Koran, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established devotional service to Krishna. Thus the leader of the soldiers, named Vijuli Khan, surrendered to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he and his party became devotees of Lord Krishna. The same village today is known as the village of Patana Vaishnavas. After bathing in the Ganges at Soro, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at Prayag, at the confluence of 3 rivers, the Ganges, Jamuna, and Saraswati. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu traveled all over Vrindavan and pleased all living entities, moving and non-moving, with his glances. The Lord took much personal pleasure in seeing everyone. In this way, Lord Gauranga traveled in Vrindavan. All glories to Lord Gauranga, all glories to Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Advaita Prabhu, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, headed by Srivas Thakur. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced in ecstasy, but when he arrived at Arit Gram, his sense perception was awakened. Arit Gram is also known as Arishtagram. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood that in that village Aristasura had been killed by Sri Krishna. While there, he inquired about Radhakund, but no one could tell him where it was. The Brahmana accompanying him could also not ascertain its whereabouts. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could then understand that the holy place known as Radhakund and Shamakund were at that time lost to everyone's vision. He therefore discovered Radhakund and Shamakund, which were 2 reservoirs of water in 2 paddy fields. Although there was very little water, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was omniscient and could understand that formerly these 2 ponds were called Sri Radhakund and Shamakund. Then that way Radhakund and Shamakund were discovered. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the local people, "Where is Radhakund?" No one could inform him, and the Brahmana accompanying him did not know either. The Lord then understood that the holy place called Radhakund was no longer visible. However, being omniscient, the Supreme Personality of God had discovered Radhakund and Shamakund in 2 paddy fields. There was only a little water, but he took his bath there. When the people of the village saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taking his bath in those 2 ponds, in the middle of the paddy fields, they were very much astonished. The Lord then offered prayers to Sri Radhakund. Of all the gopis, Radharani is dearmost. Similarly, the lake, known as Radhakunda, is very dear to the Lord because it is very dear to Srimati Radharani. Yata Radha Priya Vishnos Tasya Kundam Priyam Tata Sarva Gopishu Saivaika Vishnu Atyanta Vallabha. Just as Srimati Radharani is most dear to Krishna, so her lake, known as Radhakund, is also very dear to him. Of all the gopis, Srimati Radharani is certainly the most beloved. This is a verse from the Padma Purana. In that lake, Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani used to sport daily in the water and have a rasa dance on the bank. Indeed, Lord Krishna gives ecstatic love, like that of Srimati Radharani, to whoever bathes in that lake even once in his life. The attraction of Radhakund is as sweet as that of Srimati Radharani. Similarly, the glories of the Kund are as great as Srimati Radharani's. Because of its wonderful transcendental qualities, Radhakund is as dear to Krishna as Srimati Radharani. It was in that lake that the all-opulent Lord Sri Krishna performed his pastimes with Srimati Radharani with great pleasure and transcendental bliss. Whoever bathes just once in Radhakund attains Srimati Radharani's loving attraction for Sri Krishna. Who within this world can describe the glories and sweetness of Sri Radhakund? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thus offered prayers to Radhakund, overwhelmed by ecstatic love. He danced on the bank, remembering the pastimes Lord Krishna performed on the bank of Radhakund. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then marked his body with tilak made from the mud of Radhakund, and with the help of Balabhadra Bhattacharya, he collected some of the mud and took it with him. From Radhakund, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Samanas Lake. When he saw Govardhan hill from there, he was overwhelmed with joy. When the Lord saw Govardhan hill, he immediately offered obeisances, falling down on the ground like a rod. He embraced one piece of rock from Govardhan hill and became mad. Mad with ecstatic love, the Lord came to the village known as Govardhan. There he saw the deity named Haridev and offered his obeisances unto him. Haridev is an incarnation of Narayan, and his residence is on the western petal of the lotus of Mathura. Mad with ecstatic love, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to dance before the Haridev deity. Hearing of the Lord's wonderful activities, all the people came to see him. The people were astonished when they saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstatic love and personal beauty. The priests who served the Sri Haridev deity offered the Lord a good reception. At Brahmakund, the Bhattacharya cooked food, and the Lord, after taking his bath at Brahmakund, accepted his lunch. That night the Lord stayed at the temple of Haridev, and during the night he began to reflect. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thought, since I shall not at any time climb Govardhan hill, how shall I be able to see Gopal Roy? Thinking in this way, the Lord remained silent, and Lord Gopal, knowing his contemplation, played a trick. Coming down from Govardhan hill, Lord Gopal granted an interview to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was unwilling to climb the hill, thinking himself a devotee of Lord Krishna. Gopal stayed in a village called Anakut Gram on Govardhan hill. The villagers who had lived in that village were mainly from Rajasthan. Purport: the village named Anakut Gram is referred to in Bhakti Ratnakara. Quote, here all the gopis and gopas enjoyed wonderful pastimes with Sri Krishna. Therefore this place is also called Anior. The Anakut ceremony was celebrated here. O Srinivas, whoever sees this place has all his desires fulfilled. It is also stated, look at the dense forest near the Kund. It was there that Gopal was concealed. Also the Stavavali, Vrajavilastava, Raghunath Das Goswami states, when Nanda Maharaj offered a large quantity of food to Govardhan Hill, Krishna assumed a gigantic form and eagerly invited everyone to ask boons from him. Then, deceiving even Srimati Radharani, he ate all the offered food. Let me take shelter of the place known as Anakut, where the Lord enjoyed these pastimes. One person who came to the village informed the inhabitants, the Turkish soldiers are now preparing to attack your village. Flee this village tonight and do not allow one person to remain. Take the deity with you and leave, for the Muslim soldiers will come tomorrow. Hearing this, all the villagers became very anxious. They first took Gopal and moved him to a village known as Gantuli. The Gopal deity was kept in the house of a Brahmana, and his worship was conducted secretly. Everyone fled, and thus the village of Anakut was deserted. Due to fear of the Muslims, the Gopal deity was moved from one place to another again and again. Thus, giving up his temple, Lord Gopal would sometimes live in a bush and sometimes in one village after another. In the morning, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his bath in a lake called Manasa Ganga. He then circumambulated Govardhan Hill. Just by seeing Govardhan Hill, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became ecstatic with love of Krishna. While dancing and dancing, he recited the following verse. Antayam adriya balahari savaryo yadrama Krishna charanashvarasha pramodaha manam tanoti sahago ganayostayo yat paniya suya vasakanna nakanna bhulai. Of all the devotees, this Govardhan Hill is the best. O my friends, this hill supplies Krishna and Balaram, as well as their calves, cows, and cowherd friends, with all kinds of necessities, water for drinking, very soft grass, caves, fruits, flowers, and vegetables. In this way, the hill offers respect to the Lord. Being touched by the lotus feet of Krishna and Balaram, Govardhan Hill appears very jubilant. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:21-18. It was spoken by the gopis when Lord Krishna and Balaram entered the forest in the autumn. The gopis spoke among themselves and glorified Krishna and Balaram for their pastimes. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then took his bath in a lake called Govindakund, and while he was there, he heard that the Gopal deity had already gone to Gantuli Gram. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to the village of Gantuli Gram and saw the Gopal deity. Overwhelmed by ecstatic love, he began to chant and dance. As soon as the Lord saw the beauty of the Gopal deity, he was immediately overwhelmed by ecstatic love, and he recited the following verse. He then chanted and danced until the day ended. Purport. Ready? Yes. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives the following information about Govindakund. There is a village named Anior on Govardhan Hill, a little distance from the village of Paita. Govindakund is situated near here, and there are two temples to Govinda and Baladev there. According to some, Queen Padmavati excavated this lake in the Bhakti Ratnakara 5th wave. The following statement is found. Shri Govindakund Mahima Anek Eta Indra Kaila Govindera Abhishek. Govindakund is exalted for its many spiritual activities. It was here that Indra, defeated by Lord Govinda, offered prayers to him and bathed him. In his book Stavavali, the following verse is found. Nijai pranabhayat swayam surapati padavivriyai Swarganga salilaschakara surabhi Dvarabhishekotsavam Govindasya navam gabam adipata raje sputam kotika tayat pradurabhut sadas puranatu dakundam drisho tayat pradurabhut sadas puratutad Govinda kundam drisho. With humility caused by great fear, Indra took hold of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, and in the company of a Surabhi cow performed his coronation festival by bathing him with the waters of the heavenly Ganges river. Thus Lord Krishna's kingship over the cows became splendidly manifest. I pray that Govinda Kund, the lake created by that ceremonial bath, may eternally appear before my eyes. Amrita. Also, in the Mathura Kanda, it is stated, Yatra Bishikto Bhagavan Makahona Yadu Vairina Govinda Kundam Tajjatam Snana Matrena Mokshadam. Simply by bathing in Govinda Kund, one is awarded liberation. This lake was produced when Bhagavan Sri Krishna was bathed by Lord Indra. It's good to have all these mantras, because then when we go in the parikram, we can stop at each one and recite the proper verses. What do you think? Gantuli Gram is situated near the two villages Bilachu and Gopalpur. According to hearsay, Radha and Krishna first met here. In the Bhakti Ratnakara, 5th wave, it is stated, Sakhi Dhunha Vasre Ghanti Dila Sangopane. The two concealed themselves by tying their outer garments together. It is also stated, Bhaguya Laya Keha Granti Kuli Dila. With a Bhaguya, they undid the knot. What's a Bhaguya? For this reason, the village is known as Gantuli. Any Brajabasi locals out there knows what a Bhaguya is? Well, if ChatGPT knows, we'll put some tilak on them. Yeah? What's a Bhaguya? Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.5, 1.5, 0.125. You can't find it?
I found something, but I don't think it's...
Okay. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, may the left arm of Sri Krishna, whose eyes are like the petals of a lotus flower, always protect you. With his left arm he raised Govardhan hill as if it were a toy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the Gopal deity for 3 days. On the 4th day the deity returned to his own temple. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the deity for 3 days. On the 4th day the deity returned to his own temple. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu walked with the deity of Gopal, and he chanted and danced. A large and jubilant crowd of people also chanted the transcendental name of Krishna. Hari Hari! Hari. The Gopal deity then returned to his own temple, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained at the bottom of the hill. Thus all the deities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were satisfied by then all the desires of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were satisfied by the Gopal deity. This is the way of Lord Gopal's kind behavior to his devotees. Seeing this, the devotees were overwhelmed by ecstatic love. So it seems as he fabricated some emergency that the Muslims were coming as a false alarm. They didn't know what he saw any Muslims, but the Lord came down so he could give darshan to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very eager to see Gopal, but he did not want to climb Govardhan hill. Therefore, by some trick, the Gopal deity personally descended. In this way, giving some excuse, Gopal sometimes remains in the bushes of the forest and sometimes he stays in a village. One who is a devotee comes to see the deity. The two brothers Rupa and Sanatan did not climb the hill. To them also Gopal granted an interview. In ripe old age, Srila Rupa Goswami could not go there, but he had a desire to see the beauty of Gopal. Due to the fear of Muslims, Gopal went to Mathura, where he remained in the house of Vitaleshvara for 1 full month. When the two brothers Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami went to Vrindavan, they decided to live there. Following Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's example, they did not climb the hill because they considered it non-different from Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. On some pretext, the Gopal deity granted Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu an audience beneath the hill, and Gopal similarly favored Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. During his ripe old age, when Rupa Goswami could not go to Vrindavan, go to Govardhan hill because of invalidity, Gopal kindly went to Mathura and remained at the house of Vitaleshwar for 1 month. It was then that Srila Rupa Goswami could see Gopal's beauty to his heart's content. The following description concerning Vitaleshwar is given in the Bhakti Ratnakara. Sri Balabhabhata had 2 sons. The elder Gopinath was born in 1432 Shakabda, that's 1510 AD. The younger Vitaleshwar was born 1437, that's 1515, and died in 1507, that's 1585. Vitaleshwar had 7 sons: Giridhara, Govinda, Balakrishna, Gokulesh, Raghunath, Yadunath, and Gyanasham. Vitaleshwar completed many of his father's unfinished books, including his commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, the Subodhini commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, Vidvan Mandana, Shringar Ras Mandana, and Nyasadesh Vivaran. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Vrindavan before the birth of Vitaleshwar. As previously mentioned, Srila Rupa Goswami was very old at the time Gopal stayed at the house of Vitaleshwar. Srila Rupa Goswami and his associates stayed in Mathura for 1 month and saw the Gopal deity. When Rupa Goswami stayed at Mathura, he was accompanied by Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and Lokanath Das Goswami. Sri Lokanath Goswami was a personal associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and a great devotee of the Lord. He was a resident of a village named Talakadi in the district of Jashore in Bengal. Previously he lived in Kanchanapad. His father's name was Padmanabha, and his only sibling was a younger brother named Pragalbha. Following the orders of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Lokanath went to Vrindavan to live. He established a temple named Gokulananda. Srila Narottam Das Thakur selected Lokanath Das Goswami to be his spiritual master, and Narottam Das Thakur Srila Narottam Das Thakur selected Lokanath Das Goswami to be his spiritual master, and Narottam Das Thakur was his only disciple. Because Lokanath Das Goswami did not want his name mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we do not often see it in this celebrated book. On the EBR railroad, the Jashore station is located in Bangladesh. From the railway station, one has to go by bus to the village of Sonakali, and from there to Kejura. From there, one has to walk, or during the rainy season, go by boat to the village of Talakadi. In this village, there are still descendants of Lokanath Goswami's younger brother. Bhugarbha Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, Sri Yadava Acharya, and Govinda Goswami also accompanied Srila Rupa Goswami. He was also accompanied by Sri Uddhava Das, Madhava, Sri Gopal Das, and Narayana Das. The great devotee Govinda, Vani Krishna Das, Pundarikaksha, Ishana, and Laghu Haridas also accompanied him. Laghu Haridas should not be confused with Junior Haridas, who committed suicide at Prayag. Generally, a devotee is called Haridas, and consequently, there are many Haridases. The chief was Thakur Haridas. There was also a Madhyama Haridas. In the Bhakti Ratnakara 6th wave, there is a list of many of the chief devotees who accompanied Srila Rupa Goswami. The following Vaishnavas were present with Sri Rupa Goswami: the merciful Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Bhugarbha Goswami, Sri Lokanath Das Goswami, a reservoir of good qualities, Sri Madhava, Sri Paramananda Bhattacharya, Sri Madhu Pandit, whose characteristics are all wonderful, Premi Krishnadas, Krishnadas Brahmachari, Yadava Acharya, the merciful Narayan, Sri Pundarikaksha Goswami, Govinda, Ishana, Sri Govinda, the magnanimous Vani Krishnadas, Sri Uddhava, who occasionally visited Bengal, Dvija Haridas, Krishnadas Kaviraj, Sri Gopal Das, whose body is completely spiritual, Sri Gopal, Madhava, and many others. We can add it to the Prema Dhwani. It was with great jubilation that Rupa Goswami visited Lord Gopal, accompanied by all these devotees. After staying in Mathura for 1 month, the Gopal deity returned to his own place, and Sri Rupa Goswami returned to Vrindavan. In the course of this story, I have given a description of Lord Gopal's mercy. After seeing this Gopal deity, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Kamyavan. Kamyavan mentioned in the Adi Purana. It is mentioned. Lord Shiva said, "The best of all forests is the fourth of these, named Kamyavan. O Goddess Devi, any person who goes there is eligible to enjoy the glories of my abode." Bhakti Ratnakara 5th wave says, "In this Kamyavan, Krishna performed enchanting pastimes. Here you will be able to take darshan of many ponds and other transcendental spots. I cannot even describe in writing all the sacred tirthas found at Kamyavan." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's touring Vrindavan has been previously described. In the same ecstatic way, he traveled all over Vrindavan. After visiting the places of Krishna's pastimes at Kamyavan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Nandishwar. While there, he was overwhelmed with ecstatic love. Nandishwar is the house of Maharaj Nanda. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bathed in all the celebrated lakes, beginning with Lake Pavana. Thereafter, he climbed a hill and spoke to the people. The Pavana Sarovar is described in the Mathura Mahatmya. Quote, "One who bathes in Pavana Lake by Nandishwar Hill will see Krishna there along with Nanda and Yashoda and will fulfill all his desires." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, "Are there any deities on top of the hill?" The people replied, "There are deities on this hill, but they are located within a cave. There are a father and mother with well-built bodies, and between them is a very beautiful child who is curved in 3 places." Hearing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became happy. After excavating the cave, he saw the 3 deities. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered his respects to Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda, and with great ecstatic love, he touched the body of Lord Krishna. Every day the Lord chanted and danced in ecstatic love. Finally, he went to Kandiravan. Kandiravan is described in the Bhakti Ratnakara 5th wave. "Behold the forest named Kandiravan, renowned throughout the universe. If one comes to Kandiravan, he can immediately be elevated to Vishnu Loka." After seeing the places of Lord Krishna's pastimes, Sri Chaitanya went to Sheshashayi, where he saw how Lakshmi had recited he saw Lakshmi and recited the following verse. Yate sujata charanam buruham staneshu vitas-tanai priyatatam ahmkarakeshi tenatribam ashti kurpadi bir brahmati dhir bavad ayushamna. O dearly beloved, your lotus feet are so soft that we place them gently on our breasts, fearing that your feet will be hurt. Our life rests only in you. Our minds, therefore, are filled with anxiety that your tender feet might be wounded by pebbles as you roam about the forest path. This is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, spoken by the gopis when Krishna left them in the midst of the Rasa Leela. Afterwards, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Kaila Tirtha and then went to Bandiravan. After crossing the Jamuna river, he went to Bandravan. In the Bhakti Ratnakara, it is said that Sri Krishna and Balaram used to play at Kaila Tirtha with the cowherd boys during the entire day. Mother Yashoda had to call them to take their baths and eat their lunch. And that brings us to the end of our morning reading. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Panchatattva, Shri Giriraj Maharaj, if you so desire, please let us remember all the holy places in Vrindavan, and Lord Chaitanya is visiting them, and all the great Vaishnavas who lived there and who worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead in pure devotional service. May we follow in their footsteps. Om Tat Sat. Everyone agrees with this prayer in whole or in part. Please unmute and say Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Gopremanande Itai Gora Haribo 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 Nitai Gora Haribo Nitai Gora Haribo 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 Nitai Gora Haribo. Vanchakalptarusha kripa sindhavesha patitanam pavanivyo vaishnavevyo namo namaha.